A Virginia teacher bullies a student for not seeing racism where no racism existed. Hey, Virginia, the 1930 Soviet Union called. They want their pedagogy back. I'm Dr. Duke, he's Dave, and this is the Dr. Duke Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Duke Show, the only program that keeps you educated on the craziness impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses around the world. Katie is off maternalizing, so Dave Fiorazo has joined us again. Today we start in Virginia. Once Virginia used to be for lovers, now it's for bully teachers, where a teacher was caught on video bullying a student who did not see racism in a simple picture. Here's the picture. Tell me what you see in that picture. I see two women standing back to back. That's it. A young man in a Virginia classroom saw the same thing. And I want you to listen here how his teacher, his classroom teacher, bullies him for not making more of it.
Tell me what this seems to be a picture of.
It's just two people chilling.
Right, just two people. There's nothing more to this picture?
Nah, not really. Just two people chilling.
I don't believe that you believe that. I don't believe that you look at this as just two people. I think you're being intentionally coy about what this is a picture of.
What would I be being coy about? It's two people standing back to back in a picture.
Yeah, and that's all you see is two people.
I'm confused on what you would like me to speak on in that sense.
I don't think you are. I'm not trying to call you out, but you come out off of mute to talk about what this is a picture of, and you act as if there's nothing noticeable about this apart from the fact that they're two people.
Well, I'm confused. Are you trying to get me to say that there are two different races in this picture?
Yes,
is that what
you
want me to say? Well, at the end of the day, wouldn't that just be feeding into the problem of looking at race instead of just acknowledging them as two normal people?
You can't look at the people and not acknowledge that there are racial differences, right?
But if we're going for, let's say if we're looking for equality within all this, then why would we need to point out things such as that?
Because those differences are real things.
How absolutely maddening. I mean, look, I could see it if it was a picture of a white man holding a noose and a black man looking scared. Fine. You want to show a picture like that? Clearly the racial implications matter. If you want to show a dude in a white KKK Klan outfit and an African-American in slave clothes, you want to put those together? I get it. A little heavy-handed. But what in the world are you talking about? Why are you bullying this boy? Now, again, at the risk of becoming racially stereotyping myself, clearly sounds like it's a young African-American male.
Yeah.
How cool was he? How calm? How logical and how no wonder white liberals have deemed logic white supremacy. This kid owned his teacher there. What is it that you want me to say? Why would you do that? That was the most benign possible picture. They were both smiling, they were back to back. One had red hair, one had dark hair. Other than that, why does this become an image of race? And what does it have to do with anything? The answer is nothing. Unless you're in Virginia public schools, unless you're in American public schools, where simply being two different races is always a scenario of white supremacy and bigotry. That's what they're telling you. That's what this idiot teacher's trying to tell that kid. You should see race, number one. Number two, you should be offended by the difference in this picture, because clearly the white woman, for some reason, has power and privilege, and clearly the black woman doesn't. And by not calling it out, by saying you see no purpose of going there, wouldn't it be contradictory to what we're trying to do? No, they don't want you to be colorblind. They don't want you to see people for what they are. They want you to interject and to holographically project racism on every single situation, person, group of people, every object, every idea, all of it. It must be racialized.
This is by design. It's not just the Virginia schools or that particular school. It's part of critical race theory. Isn't that what
Yes,
they
it
were
is.
pushing here? And I'll tell you, the winning quote from this article goes to the student. The student was being the teacher. He said, at the end of the day, wouldn't that just be feeding into the problem of looking at race instead of acknowledging them as just two normal people? They want us to read it. They want the students, young kids today, they want them to read into it. They want to divide and conquer. This is part of the plan.
Well, in a Facebook post that was obtained by the Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro's outfit She's a complete leftist lunatic. Far left school board member Beth Bartz denied that the school was teaching critical race theory. Oh yeah, that's not what we're doing. In the same post, she admitted, in the very same post, she admitted that students were learning about critical race theory. So we're not teaching it, but they're learning about it, among other theories in the classroom. For the parents who emailed us about the slides from a high school class that they felt indicated LCPS, Loudoun County again, and we're back in Virginia, is teaching critical race theory and demand we seek answers, Bart said, the video that has now made its way to social media is an excerpt of a class discussion in a dual enrollment college-level English course.
What?
In which students were exposed to different literary theories as a welcome to my world. For 25 years, I have had to have. This is what they do. I can't tell you how many of my students got upset by this. They take a course in Shakespeare, and it's not Shakespeare; it's feminist Shakespeare. They take a course in Jane Eyre or the Brontes, and it's a course in feminism. It isn't really a course in literature. That they take a course on Asian poetry, and lo and behold, it becomes a course on environmental theory, radical left-wing environmental theory, using Asian nature poets, endlessly across the board. The scary thing is that this has been around for 30 years in the public colleges. Now it is going to be the normal way moving forward, starting this fall. So the normal way we are moving forward with kids. Critical race theory is going to be, in a couple of short months, the curriculum choice of every public school in this country. There's no way you get around it.
What can parents do about this?
Get your kids out of public schools. I'm not messing around anymore. Get them out. There's nothing you can do to stop this. There's nothing you can do to save yourself. There's nothing you can do to avoid it. And if you want to get them out and send them to private Christian schools, be very careful, because half of them are using the same garbage. Woke church, liberation theology nonsense. You walk into a typical Catholic school this day and age, the Catholic schools spend more time telling you how non-Catholic they are to get you in the door. They're boasting about how, hey, send your kids to us if they're Lutheran, if they're Methodist, if they're atheist. Send them to us. We'll give them a good disciplined education, and we will not burden your child at all with anything Catholic. Spend $10,000, $12,000, $13,000 for a completely sanitized kind of Christianity. If you send your kids to Christian schools, make sure you research them very carefully. And the only real safe place for your kids, I'm sorry to say, is homeschooling.
Next story, Virginia again. Parent coalition alleges elite Virginia high school's admissions process discriminates against Asian American students. A lawsuit filed by a parent coalition alleges that an elite Virginia high school recalibrated its admissions process to shrink the prominent Asian American student population. It's Thomas Jefferson High School, commonly referred to as TJ, a specialty school for students gifted in math, science, and technology. Now, it often ranks as one of the best public schools in the nation. According to the Washington Post, Asian American students at TJ make up 70% of the student body. And in the 2019-2020 school year, though Fairfax County's Asian population is only 30%. That's an interesting proportion there.
Well, we did a story about this last week in which we had a professor saying that Asian Americans are good at math is a kind of racism. Literally, he said that if you say Asian Americans are good at math, and you have statistical numbers right here, only 30% of the school district is Asian, yet 70% of the participants in this STEM high school are Asians. The fact is that if you took away the affirmative action enrollment at this school, if you took away the pressure to let in people of different races who had lower grades, this would probably be 90% at the school board, if not higher at this high school. I also love the fact that it's Thomas Jefferson High School, that name is allowed to stay only because they don't call it that. They call it TJ.
TJ,
right?
Right.
That's right, exactly. So again, here you have a situation where in that story we had last week, we pointed out the professor was arguing globally, while Asians do very well in math, not all Asian cultures do. And he actually said that Asian populations of color, in other words, non-white Asians? Asian populations of color do worse in math and science than Asian populations of no color?
I'm trying to follow you here.
Did you hear that
I
correct?
think so. I think
so.
I
In other
got
words,
it.
it's just like white Hispanic. Remember the guy who shot Trayvon Martin? Because they couldn't paint him as a white guy, they made up a term. He was a white Hispanic. All right, so you can get white here. I guess what they're trying to say is Asians who do well in math are white Asians. And the Asians who don't do well in math are darker-skinned Asians, apparently. Who is forever engaging in racist constructs? It's the liberals who put this stuff in front of you. According to the Washington Post, as you said, Asian Americans at TJ made up 70% of the student body in the 2019-20 year, though Fairfax County's Asian population is only 30%. This is really an important story, and so what are they doing now? And that's too much.
Yep.
Even though these Asian kids have the grades, they have the hard work, they have the work ethic, they have the smarts for this, not enough black and Hispanic kids, right?
Yep, so now they're nixing the rigorous admission test and the $100 application fee in the name of equity and inclusion. And now there's a lawsuit, a second lawsuit actually, alleging that there is discrimination against Asian Americans.
So listen, they up until now they've charged $100 to apply. And of course, black people can't. How paternalistic, right? Black people don't have that money. They're spending it on grits and pot, right? This is clearly the assumption. And Nikes. This is the assumption that black moms and dads can't scrape together $100. So therefore, the admission fee is racist. And the test. This is a STEM high school. You better be pretty good at math and science. They test your math and science. Mm-hmm. And way more Asians than whites, Hispanics, and black do well, right? This is the insidious racist face of all critical race theory. Yep. It starts from the perspective that it acknowledges it. Blacks and Hispanics are low achievers. Blacks and Hispanics can't be held to the same standards as whites and Asians. Blacks and Hispanics just don't have what it takes. It starts from that premise, whether they admit it or not. They blame it on white supremacy, though, because of, quote, magical white supremacy. Magical supremacy, right? Can't really identify it, can't really point to where it is. Everything is racist. To be not black or Hispanic in this country means that somebody's holding their foot to your throat. Although, who, where, how, why? They never answer this. When you poke one step deeper, it is the left's sneering, condescending attitude to the intellect of black and Hispanic kids. Can't compete. We're going to blame it on white supremacy. Can't compete. That's not true. Black kids, if they're prepared, can do just as well as white kids and Asian kids. So too Hispanic kids. The problem is not with white people holding them down. It's their own cultures. You have every opportunity to go to school. You have every opportunity to find ways to augment your schooling. You have every opportunity in the world to stop playing sports or to stop engaging in social activities, as many of these Asian kids do, and focus on your schooling. Do that. School is the number one reason you're at school. If you want to turn school into a exercise club or a social club, do it. Don't get mad then when people don't do it and succeed better than you at school.
So a spokesman for the school district responded to the lawsuit by saying the district is proud to be removing the admissions test and fee to allow more culturally and ethnically diverse students to attend the magnet school.
Yeah, we're proud of getting rid of rigor so we can jam some unqualified black kids into the school.
Right.
We're proud of ourselves. Bastards.
Next story, GoFundMe shuts down a page for parents fighting woke curriculum after anti-racist parents complain. So GoFundMe reportedly yanked a page run by a group of parents fighting woke curriculum changes in one of America's wealthiest counties after local progressive activists complained. The page's creator, Scott Mineo, told the Washington Free Beacon that the fundraising page created to raise money to combat the infusion of critical race theory and other dangerous progressive ideologies into classrooms in Loudoun County, Virginia, was shut down without explanation.
This shows you how hard it is to get anything done. We have a corporateocracy here who is standing by the left wing, the radical progressive left wing, and they are enforcing this new racist, sexist, progressive orthodoxy. This is the story we went to back last week that was duly shocking, right? I had an interview with Vicki McKenna about it in our Culture Cast segment. This is the story where in Loudoun County, Virginia, the Virginia school district there, they are attacking parents who complain about the curriculum. A whole group of moms and dads, and this is, by the way, one of the wealthiest school districts in the country. A lot of these are people who work in D.C., they work in government, they have high-ranking jobs across the border in Washington. This is one of the richest places in all of the country, this school district. So this isn't happening in ghettos and barrio schools and inner-city schools. It's happening at the highest performing public schools in the country. Well, a lot of moms and dads who aren't conservatives started to complain about the critical race theory that was being adopted by Loudoun County. And what they were doing is they were telling white kids that they were inferior, that they were guilty, that their skin made them complicit, that they were violent, that they were privileged. Over and over again, the moms got so sick of hearing it that on their own dime, moms and dads got together, and they formed a series of clubs and did some outreach on social media to try to push back. Well, what happened? The school at Loudoun, they fought back. Teachers, actual school teachers, joined up with local community people to dox these moms and dads, to spread gossip about these moms and dads, to undercut these moms and dads on social media, to threaten these moms and dads on social media. So what happens? You got a group of moms and dads who try to fight back against the racial demonization of their children in public schools. The teachers and local community members use it as an opportunity to band together and raise money and dox and shame these parents for daring to have an opinion about their kids' education, for daring to suggest that critical race theory is not actually helping the education of their kids, it's actually racializing their kids. Meanwhile, no one's teaching them any subject matter. This is the irony of what's going on here. And what happens? GoFundMe. So they set up a GoFundMe page, the moms and dads. They, in about a week, had raised $4,000 in 1 week. $4,000 to begin to fight back a little bit against what was going on in the public school. One call from a activist for critical race theory, and GoFundMe took the entire page down, saying it just doesn't meet our standards.
But if notice, she used to be with the Equity Committee.
Yes.
The Equity Committee. Want to wrap up this one sentence here at the end of the article. Loudoun County has reportedly spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in recent years on racial equity reforms of school curriculum and programming, including the hiring of an outside racial consulting firm to streamline the effort. And it's also required all staff to go through bias and equity training.
Yep. And you can see why moms and dads are so. What does any of this? You can imagine how much the property taxes are in Loudoun County, Virginia, with that kind of wealth. And that money is not going to their kids' welfare. It is going to attack your kids. That money is being used to attack the children of Loudoun. The white kids being attacked simply for their whiteness. The black and Hispanic kids just flat out being lied to about what the nature of race relations are in this country. The whole thing is scandalous. All you can say about this is what's going on in the progressive left now is they are working very, very hard to return us to Jim Crow. I mean, they always blame the right? Everything the right does is Jim Crow, but think about it. What does the progressive left want? They want segregation. They want separation. They want racial handouts. They want racial recognition. They want the authority to transform schools away from places of general, politically neutral education and education that faces certain races at the expense of others. Isn't that what we fought with Jim Crow? Jim Crow was all of those things. And now in the name of racial progress and harmony, the left is re-Jim Crowing schools. And what a wonderful place to start. The heart of the Confederacy, Virginia. What a perfect place to start. Well, if today's show doesn't just make you want to turn in your human being card and quit the race, quit the human race, I don't know anything that will. What a crazy, bizarre, racist bunch of progressives we have in charge in our kids' education. As we saw in that last show, a group of Virginia moms and dads fought back, and GoFundMe eliminated their cause. Shocking. We're looking for, with Instant Classics, a man to stand up. We're looking for a man that has some principle. Remember, C.S. Lewis's great essay, Men Without Chest. He said, we live in an era with men have no chest. They have no fight. They have no willingness to stand up. There's nothing worth fighting and dying for. Conformity, cowardice, Childishness is all of our culture, Lewis said. And I want to counter that with yet another quote today from Robert Bolt's A Man from All Seasons. It's all about Thomas More and how in a very dangerous situation, his life was on the line, he defied his king, he defied his country. His principles were his principles. They could not be bought, they could not be sold, they could not be taken from him. He went to the block. His head was finally cut off by King Henry's executioners, but not before More stood up on numerous occasions for what he believed in. Take a look at this next series, a couple of quotes from A Man for All Seasons. This is Robert Bolt's play. He wrote it in 1960. It became an Academy Award-winning movie. One of the rare movies to win Best Picture, Best Actor, Paul Scofield as More, and Best Director. So the triple play on this. I urge you very much to go watch A Man for All Seasons from 1966. But here's a couple of quotes from the play. Quote, when statesmen, this is from Thomas More, when statesmen forsake their own private conscience for the sake of their public duties, they lead their country by a short route to chaos. Look at your politicians today. When politicians forsake their own private consciences, what they know to be right and wrong, for the sake of their public duties. All these Democrats voting for racist legislation, exclusionary legislation, right? All of this stuff that's going on in politics today, when politicians forsake their private consciences for the sake of their public duties, what they owe their party, they lead their country by a short route to chaos. And how about this one? Moore is talking to his daughter Meg about what does a man's word mean? Men with chests. It goes like this. When a man takes an oath, Meg, he's holding his own self in his own hands. Like water, More cupped his hands like he was holding water between his hands. Like water. And if he opens his fingers then, lets that water himself, let it slip through, he needn't hope to find himself again. Once the water is gone, it's gone. Some men aren't capable of this. But I'd be loath to think your father one of them. Let me read that one more time. When a man takes an oath, Meg, he's holding his own self in his own hands, like water. And if he opens his fingers then, he needn't hope to find himself again. Some men are not capable of it. But I would be loath to think that your father, me, was one of them. All right, just a quick reminder to please download our Freedom Project Media app. All you have to do is search Freedom Project in your app store and make sure to allow us to notify you. Turn on the notification button. And if you're a fan of the show, please consider a one-time tax-deductible donation to support our Patriot Club, and we'll send you our signature tumbler. It's a great trade-off. You get a tax relief, you get a tax break, you get a great tumbler. We get $99 to keep helping to produce this show. We have been demonetized by Facebook. We've been demonetized by YouTube. Visit patriotclub.us. That's patriotclub.us. Now we want to take a moment to show some love to our Patriot members. Today we'd like to give a shout out to Lee from Kerrville, Texas. Lee. Yeehaw! Thanks a lot for supporting us. And keep Texas, Texas. That wraps this up for the show. Don't forget to check out the latest episode of Dave Fiorazzo's show, Christ and Culture, tomorrow night at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. For Freedom Project, I'm Dr. Dookies Dave. Until next time, stay educated, stay educated, stay educated, my friends.